Good afternoon and welcome to JUS News. I'm Isabel Shaw.
And I'm King Boateng.
Your top stories this afternoon.
After council leader Terry Fox's resignation this morning, what's happening at Sheffield's local election count?
In Barnsley, they've had a Labour council since 1973. That's 50 years. They're looking to strengthen their position and gauge voter intentions ahead of the next general election.
And I'll be letting you know how Sheffield is celebrating the King's coronation this weekend.
Labour councillor Terry Fox has stood down as leader of Sheffield City Council just hours before the results of the local elections will be announced. His resignation follows a series of failures, including the street tree scandal and the Fargate shipping container fiasco. Our reporter Molly Pipe is at Sheffield Crown Court now. So Molly, what is the reaction to Terry Fox's resignation?
Well, Labour has been tight-lipped, unsurprisingly. They say they might comment once the results are all in. They're just coming to an end now. I mean, there was a suggestion this was leaked earlier than planned, so, you know, they haven't really formed a reaction official statement yet. As this is, of course, following all the stuff with the tree scandal and the Fargate shipping containers, which were controversial. And as for the Green Party, though, they did have a comment. This is the reaction from Councillor Douglas Johnson.
Well, we've been speculating for some time about when Terry was going to stand down as leader of the council. Personally, I thought it would be after the election result, on the assumption that he'd stay on if Labour miraculously regained control of the council.
And Molly, what's the result looking like for Sheffield?
Well, the picture's largely stable with the last time that these seats were contested. There's only been two changes. Labour lost Hillsborough to the Greens Party, but they gained a seat in Netheredge and Sharrow. But there was a bit of a nail-biter at the end. In Crooks and Crosspool, Lib Dems only got 187 votes more than Labour, but they did win that seat. They're just coming to the end of the voting now, so we'll just hear what the final bit is. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly.
Meanwhile, in Barnsley, the count is underway with council seats in 21 wards up for grabs. Barnsley Council has held a Labour majority for the last 50 years. Our reporter, Elliot Green, is there now. Elliot, does it look like Labour are going to tighten their grip on Barnsley?
Thanks, King. Yes, well, it has been Labour's day so far. In the past few minutes alone, we've had probably the biggest result of the day. Huge cheer from Labour behind. They have won their councillor seat in Penistone East. Now, that has been a Conservative seat since at least 2004, so for the past 20 years. Alex Burnett won the seat for Labour by about 300 votes from the Conservative candidate Stephen Birkinshaw. Huge, huge indication of voting patterns for the general election as well. Miriam Cates is the Conservative MP for Stocksbridge and Penistone, so she'll be watching that with interest. Elsewhere, again, as you've said, the last 50 years Labour have had the stronghold here in Barnsley. They've won back seats in Monkbretton. Margaret Sheard lost her seat 4 years ago to an independent candidate. She was back this year, gained that seat as well. Andrew Gillis was the leader of the Barnsley Independent Group. Now, they were the second biggest party, in Barnsley from 2006 to 2011. He stepped down. Paul Murray, the Labour candidate for Starefoot, took that as well. So there have been a few gains there. Paul Murray saying that people's attitudes are changing and this will be reflected at the next general election. It seems that might well be the case. I also spoke with the new councillor for St Helens, Neil Wright.
Just been elected on. Nothing's to be taken for granted, although it's quite an outstanding result. I think it still gives an indication that, you know, it proves we've got to work and carry on working, and the hard work now begins. It's not ended, it begins.
So, Elliot, what's it looking like with the other results?
Well, elsewhere, again, it has been Labour's day, but there have been some changes and some parties keeping their seats as well. The Lib Dems have kept their seats in Darton East. Steve Hunt there, the candidate with 900 more votes than his Labour counterpart, so a huge Lib Dem contingent there. Sam Christmas, has kept his seat in Dodworth for the Lib Dems. Barnsley has had a strong history of independent councillors too. Jake Lodge has kept his in the Worsborough ward, and the other biggest result for Labour, so Labour did lose a seat today, the Rockingham ward was one to watch this morning, we were told. The deputy leader of Barnsley Council, Chris Lamb, is a Labour councillor. He was stepping down at this election. That result went to Andrew Ray, who's an independent candidate, so Barnsley keeping that strong tradition of independent councillors alive, but it is very much Labour's day. I did the maths earlier, Labour could have lost every single seat today and still kept a Labour majority in the council.
Thank you, Elliot.
Results are starting to come in. Here to break down the numbers is our election correspondent, James Greasley.
James? Is it me? Thanks guys, today is massive both here in South Yorkshire and now. Of Council Leader Terry Fox's resignation, something people have called for a while following public and the introduction of the clean have an impact on today's poll. Looking at the last time these seats were up for election in 2019, we can see that Labour had a majority of seats. The Liberal Democrats formed the second largest party. However, if we look at last year's result, we can see that Labour lost out to the Liberals and the Greens, having to ultimately enter into a partnership that the Greens Moving to today, there are 28 seats up for election, all held by the three leading parties. The Lib Dems will want to consolidate these gains that they've made over the last few elections. However, we've heard in the last few minutes that Sheffield will remain in no overall control. This will be a huge disappointment to Labour, who will have wanted to gain a majority control and show the flag as Sir Keir Starmer targets national gains. Key seats to keep an eye on are Manor Council, where Lord Mayor Siona Mayor Richards is up for re-election. Where Labour's Deputy Leader Julie Grocott will look to show leadership following the reports earlier about Terry Fox. Moving across now to Barnsley, this council has been a Labour stronghold for the last 50 years. In 2019 they came away with a majority of 49 seats out of the 62 available. The Conservatives and Lib Dems each had 3. Following the 2022 elections, Labour had made a few losses, with the Liberals making the main gains that year, but nothing that damaged Labour's majority. Moving into today's results, Labour are expected to retain their majority with little fuss. So far, they've gained 2 seats off of independence, with Margaret Sherd returning to her ward of Monk Breton after a 4-year hiatus. If we take a quick look at the national picture, it's important to note polls Labour holding a healthy lead over the Conservatives. As you can see here, Rishi Sunak will, as results have come in throughout the night and morning, it's become apparent that the Conservatives are likely to hemorrhage seats and councils. As we can see across the they've said 400 seats gained would be a success, but they will need to win at least 700 if they are to show the form. The Liberal Democrats are having by far the best day, however, as you how close they are to the Conservatives in comparison. We're only about a third of the way through the countdown, so we'll charts and come back to you in a few hours.
Thanks, James.
And now we're looking forward to the weekend, where thousands of eyes will be on the royal family for the coronation of King Charles. For many, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, with big celebrations taking place all over the country. Our correspondent, Ella Hargett-Dash, is in Sheffield to see what will be happening here over the weekend.
Sheffield is seeing red, white and blue all over as the city prepares for coronation weekend. Shops, restaurants and locals are getting in the spirit with special menus and decorations. £5,000 has also been allocated to each local area committee to help people pay for their parties and their plans. It certainly seems being 2 hours north of the capital won't be stopping people from enjoying the bank holiday with their friends and family.
He's Dutch.
By luck, we
booked
this date by accident months ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Because the English can party, and we also.
The English a bit more, I think.
we
We'll do something at home. Staying in. Sounds COVID. It's everlasting. I enjoy being in more now. But yeah, no, we'll watch it and see. I'm not a royalist, but you never know. Might be something interesting on. It's historic, so we'll be part of it that way.
Just with family.
No. I'll have it on telly background, but that's all.
There's going to be parties happening all over Sheffield this weekend to mark the King's coronation. But here in the Peace Gardens, it's going to be an absolute hub of activity and excitement. This is where people in Sheffield can come to watch everything that's happening in London live on the big screen. There's going to be a live stream of the ceremony, and afterwards kids are going to be able to watch the movie Paddington. That's happening tomorrow. Then on Sunday there's going to be a stream of Paddington 2, as well as The Kid Who Would Be the King. Now while this is going to be the place to be to hang out if you are invested in the coronation plan, there is some places you can go if you want to avoid all the madness. Now while some people will be excited to come down to the Peace Gardens here to see exactly what's going on with the coronation, there is options for those people who may not be quite so interested in finding out. The Dog and Partridge Pub down on Trippet Lane is offering a coronation safe space. That means you can go there and hear no talk of what's going on this weekend. So don't worry, even if you're not feeling exactly in the royal spirit, there's options for everyone to enjoy this bank holiday weekend. Ella Huggett-Dash, JUS News, Sheffield.
And now for the weather. It's a wet and windy day ahead with some thunderstorms scheduled for this afternoon and highs of 17 Celsius.
That's all from us here in the studio. We'll be back at 4:30.
Bye for now.
Oh my God.